they passed away. It looks inside pretty much like it did when my dad, finally had to leave to go to the nursing home. So it hadn't changed any, and I didn't have the need really to do anything with it because I didn't have to. It wasn't so much that I was trying to just totally hide it. I wanted to get it, out someplace where it was safe and was out of the weather.
Some barn finds are barn finds because they're in hiding from car hunters.
And that people, because they want to buy it. I've got lots, over the years I've had numerous people that wanted to buy it.
Which can be a major distraction for owners that do not want to sell.
My dad bought this for me as a high school graduation present.
A peace symbol remains on the side of the windshield right where Bob applied it in 1968. Like the car, it's not going anywhere. It'll probably be there 100 years from now.
And I won't part with it, at least not probably in my lifetime. I've had a lot of memories in it from driving around college towns, being in the Corvette club, doing autocross racing, drag racing, road rallies. Come on in. Yeah, this house here was my parents' house. I grew up in this house. It was built in the late 40s, and I was born in 1950, so I got to see it it's a pretty new house when I came home from the hospital, but it hasn't changed a whole lot since when my dad passed away in '04, because I haven't really had to do anything much with it. But that car, back around the late 90s, early 2000s, I moved it to this garage so that I could have it closer to home. People, that ask me, that remember it, and ask me if I still have it. When I tell them yes, they'll usually ask me where is it. Of course, I won't tell them because I don't really want them to kind of try to come hunting for it. There we go. Well, here it sits, and it's been in here right like this for probably about 20 years. It hadn't moved, but it's been inside. A friend of mine spotted the advertisement for this in the newspaper, in the classifieds, under cars for sale. This was back in early 1968. I got to looking, I dug out the title, when we transferred it, but it wasn't complete. It didn't have a hood on it, and it didn't have any of the trim on the sides. So we spent kind of the summer buying parts for it to finish putting it together. And so I remembered it as getting it in kind of the fall of 1968, where, as I realize now, was more when I actually started driving it more on a regular basis. I like coming by here, Heasley, and looking at it. It's kind of become a family heirloom. Even though I drove it for many years and was active in a Corvette club. Now, mind you, it hadn't been uncovered since I brought it in here and covered it up. Of course, it collected quite a bit of dust in the meantime.
So, how much rust does this body have?
Probably no rust on the body, but there may be some on the frame.
Bob, we're here in a dark garage with a single light and the windows boarded up to the garage door. Would you say the car's in hiding? I mean, are you hiding the car?
It wasn't so much that I was trying to just totally hide it. I wanted to get it, out someplace where it was safe and was out of the weather, and that people, because they want to buy it. I've got lots, over the years I've had numerous people that wanted to buy it, and I won't part with it, at least not probably in my lifetime, because of the sentimental value. My dad bought this for me as a high school graduation present. I've had a lot of memories in it from driving around college towns, being in the Corvette club, doing autocross racing, drag racing, road rallies. Was a member of the NCCC, which is the National Council of Corvettes, and we would travel to Lubbock and Oklahoma City, around Amarillo, and I had the oldest Corvette in the whole club, so that kind of gave me a kind of a little, I don't know, honorary, holster position, even though I was younger than most everybody else in there.
So what do we got here? Oh, we got some Corvettes Incorporated. Is that an old car show sign?
It's an old car show sign that we made up.
Did it have a year on it or anything?
No.
Look, that says 300 cubic inch, 350 horsepower.
Yeah.
Mellow yellow? That's the paint?
That's what we called it.
Nobody knows it's here, and you almost have to hide it. I mean, didn't you say people broke out, or did somebody break out the windows just to look at it, or what happened?
It was one of these windows in this door. I don't think they were actually breaking it out to look at it. I think it may have been maybe an accident or mischievous kids, breaking out a window. But it made me a little nervous due to the fact that you could walk up the driveway and just look through the door and you could see the car in here. And I didn't want any curiosity seekers to get too curious. So in order to keep the weather out and just kind of cover it up, I put a board over the windows.
What'd you find?
Well, let's see. Looks like a gasoline receipt from 1972.
From where?
Let's see. Panhandle, Texas. Crossroads 66.
How much was it per gallon? And how much the total?
Well, let's see. The total cost was $5.25, and it looks, can you read that? Some 13 something gallons.
Okay.
Is that what you're seeing?
That's what I see, yeah.
$5.25. Phillips 66 and Panhandle.
Yeah, okay. And then the other thing I wanted to just ask you a little bit about is the psychology of keeping a car when you're not driving it and you just have it parked. I mean, the people that know about it, do they give you a guff on that? Let's say, why do you can't enjoy it unless you drive it? I mean, how do you feel about all that?
Well, there's mixed emotions about it. They do have their point, and people do kind of, chide me occasionally about that. If you've had it all these years and you used to drive it regularly and had a lot of fun with it and did many car events and various shows and fun things, and then kind of raising a family set in, and I parked it, and then afterwards, once the kids got all grown and gone out, I never got it back out again. But it doesn't really bother me in a real bad way that I've got it parked and hid in here, because I'm comfortable that it's safe and it's out of the weather, and I still have it, and I take pride in that I haven't relinquished it and then felt remorse over it, which there's been some other vehicles that I've had that I did sell that throughout the years I've kind of wished I hadn't. I still had. I'm kind of a pack rat or a hold oner in that sense, that there's many of them that I had that I just haven't ever turned loose of. So
The drag race, since it's a 2-speed power glide, you've only got 2 speeds. So low gear would run out a long way, especially I would shift about down when the needle got down around between C and H. Is when I'd shift.
How many RPM do you think that was?
Well, let's see. There's 6, 7. That little engine would really spin.
So, Bob, tell us how you enjoy it now. I mean, what is the enjoyment the car gives you? What is the pleasure? What is behind it?
well, let me think about that. I guess really the enjoyment now is just the feeling that I do have one of the few that are still left, and that many people that I've run into in recent years, younger people do not know that they even existed, that they made a Corvette in the 50s, or what they looked like, or that they're to people to find out that I knew in high school or earlier years that I hadn't seen in years, to realize when they ask me about it that I still have it, and then they're almost amazed that I've actually kept a hold of something that long. But I will probably be more inclined, now that I'm retired and have a little bit more time, to do things like this.
I love these door panels.
But this whole bottom, since there was no roll-up window in it, this whole bottom part down in here was all storage.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't perfectly sealed up to the point that you could go to the drive-in, and each one of these would hold a good 2 6-packs of beer and ice in each door. And as the ice melted, it just drained out the bottom of the door. So you couldn't tell it, drive into the drive-in, sit in there, drink beer, and they didn't know you had it.
I've got some grandkids that are approaching prom days, coming up in the next year or two, that have expressed a real interest to have this running, to be delivered to the prom in this, and so that's kind of been encouraging me to actually do something with it instead of just letting it sit. But for the many years I was comfortable in just knowing where it was, and the history of it and the fun of it, and that I still had it and hadn't got rid of it, so that I didn't have to feel like I wished I had it back, because I still have it. This is what it looked like when we first brought it home, which I was able to drive it home from where we bought it at. But it didn't have the hood on it, and the trim on the back and the front and the grill and the sides was missing. But it was a drivable car. But these are some ET time cards from the Amarillo Dragway back in 1973, where I actually had been drag racing it some. It was making 15.4 and 15.5s. This picture right here, it had wire wheel hubcaps on it. And then here we've moved on a little bit later. I've got Krager SS mags on it here, and actually have a top that I'd borrowed so that I could make long trips in it down to Oklahoma City and Lubbock. And on the hood I've got some trophies from some of the events that I was in, mostly autocross events. This was a picture here on one of the autocross tracks, and then you can see here is a picture was our club jacket. Now let me show you that club jacket, which I still have. This is the back of it. That was the name of the club. It was out of Amarillo, Texas. This badge here was another group that I was a member of at the time, was the Vintage Corvette Club of America. I think it was based out of California. But it was a registry of the early Corvettes. We wore these to all of our club events and meetings and wherever we went to.
Okay, so See if that thing fits.
Well, all right. Yeah, this was our club jacket back in the day. And we'll see whether this still fits or not.
What'd that cost you back in the day?
I can't say that I really remember, but this was what we wore to all of our club events and activities whenever we would be. Well, golly, Jerry, I haven't gained that much weight then. It does still fit, sort of.
How many years ago was this?
This would have been back in the early 70s.
Zip it all the way up there. Turn around, let's see it.
Yep, they still fit. Yep. I can still get in it.
Yeah, you can wear this. You got a little name tag on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you kept your convention name tag. What year is that from?
That was, no. You got me. When in one of the shows that we put on at the Civic Center sometime in the early 70s.
Looking at these little Vet Fest.
I've got 50 years of history with it since I've had it, and that has a lot of meaning to me. I guess that's kind of why I would never have any good feeling about selling it. Because I think I would have great remorse if I did. Because I think I would like to get it back out now that I've uncovered it and it's lost its out of sight, out of mind status. It kind of makes me want to actually get it out and clean it up, get it running again, and fix it enough to make it a driver. I don't know that I would really want to try to go so far as to do a Concours restoration. But a real nice, presentable driver so that my grandkids that have never seen it and my two youngest kids that have never even seen it run, if they've ever seen it, could actually start enjoying it. Because, as life happens, someday one of them's going to have it. So I guess they ought to need to start a little bit of their history with it. That's pretty, but I've been saving it. Let them worry about it.